Good morning, Joel. Yep, it looks like you might be the first person. We're just going to hang out and wait for everybody else to join in, but welcome. Hi, Rob. Good morning. Yep, a couple of people are here. We're getting ready to start the broadcast. Just about 3 minutes, so welcome. Good morning, everybody. I see a couple more people are filtering in as we go. Feel free to just hang out. We're going to start in a couple of minutes. If you are here, just give us a little good morning in the form of a question. You can turn on the Q&A in your session if it's not automatically showing up. Just say hi and your name, and once I see you're here, I'll give you a little shout out.
All right, so 9:01, how many people do we have in?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. If you could just either in the chat or using the Q&A feature, just let us know that you're here. We're just going to make sure we don't start without anybody. I know that Joel Monick from Minersville is here and Rob Ferguson from Maths are both here, so good morning, guys.
And they don't have audio ability.
That's right. Yep, we're just doing a back and forth text chat with all of our Academy directors.
Okay.
I know that Shanna and Rick had to switch over to the afternoon session, so we'll see them then. Good morning, Bruce. Good to see you. All right, we're looking for. Getting a couple more people in here. That's great. We're going to start in about 2 minutes, just giving people a couple more seconds to get logged in, make sure that they are able to see everything okay. Good morning, Wendy. Good to see you. Again, if you're just joining us, give us a shout out in the questions. If you don't have questions because you're on mobile or you're viewing us directly from YouTube, that's okay. Just shoot us an email now or after the fact and let us know that you were here so that we make sure that we get you all the information you need. So if you are on the Google Plus Hangouts on Air page and you see the question and answer area, feel free to just say good morning, let us know who you are, and if not, we'll catch you later. Cool. I think we're just about ready to get started. Tony and Steve, you guys ready?
Yeah, 9:05 is a good time to start.
Yeah. Yep. All right, I'm gonna shoot over. Good morning, everybody. Mush here. Nice to see you guys, or nice for you to see me. We're excited for you to join us this morning. This is our first of 3 kickoff webinars. It's all going to be the same information. We're just giving it a couple of different times for different people to be able to get involved when they can. I'm broadcasting live from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm going to flip over to Dr. Anthony Petros, who is live in Potsdam, New York, and Steve Canning, who is also in Potsdam, New York. We're just in different areas of Potsdam, New York. So we're excited, again, that you could join us. This is interactive. If you have any questions as we go, feel free to use the question and answer feature in the Google Plus page, so we can see your questions as we go.
Marshall, we have a couple people having trouble typing in those boxes.
Oh, is that right?
The chat, yeah, they've emailed. So maybe it's the chat we could open up, and then we could just use that. That seems probably simplest.
Yep, the chat I think is only for the people who are actually presenting, so the three of
Oh,
us.
so do Q&A.
Yeah. But if people want to email their questions live, that'd be fine for us to go through. Tony, if you want to keep an eye on those and bring them up as we go.
Okay. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on them.
Okay, great.
I've got an eye on the NEF email, so if any questions come through, I'll have it ready.
That sounds good. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started with the meat and potatoes of our presentation. So first off, we'd like to welcome back all of our returning schools. We have a bunch of them. Flip over to our presentation. There we go. All of our schools, again, good morning if you're with us right now. Otherwise, we'll give you a shout out when you join us this afternoon or tomorrow afternoon. As you can see there, we have a couple of returning schools who are Academies of the Year for the last couple of years. So good job to them. I already know that there's a pretty fierce competition going on for the Academy of the Year for 2015-2016, and we'll go over how we can get you guys set up to be in the running for that. We also have a new school this year. Our new school is in Martins Ferry, Ohio. Good morning to you guys. We're happy to have you join us in the NES STEM Academy program. We're excited to get you started this year. So today in this webinar, we're going to be going over the Academy Director Handbook that I just emailed you guys last night. A lot of really good information in there for you to use in setting up your academy, whether it's your first time, your second time, your fourth time, fifth time. There's a lot of information in there to make sure that you get things going on the right foot. So you have all the resources available to you to get things going as soon as possible and as easily as possible for you guys. There's also some new stuff going on with SuccessMaker and GradPoint that we want to share with you. We've got more information on STEM activities that are going to be available to you this year. And like I said, we're doing the live question and answer session. If you can get to the Q&A in the Hangouts, that's great. And if not, that's okay too. We're going to be doing email question and answer. So it looks like there's a lot of firewall stuff going on. I'm sorry to hear that, guys. Bear with us as best you can. Like I said, in the email, this will be recorded and you will get a copy of this when all is said and done, so no worries. If you do get booted off temporarily, we'll make sure that you get all the information you need. So we're going to start right off with the Academy Director Handbook. Basically, this is just the easy mode version of how to get everything you need for your STEM Plus Academy up and running. It also is going to give you a clear idea of all of the stuff that we need from you as you get your academy going, both in setting up the SuccessMaker or GradPoint software and getting your leaderboards installed, your incentives set up, and basically making sure that we can help you stay on track as best as possible for you, for your administrators, for your school, and most importantly for the students. To that end, there is also in the Academy Director Handbook Management by Systems plan. We'll go over that, but that just basically ensures that you have all of the support that you're going to need from your administration and from your teachers to make sure that your STEM academies go smoothly. The general purpose, like I said, especially if you are using SuccessMaker. A lot of our schools are using SuccessMaker. They find it really effective in there. The goal for Dr. Catan, the goal for everybody is to get a 1.0 grade level increase per subject per your core student demographic. So the idea is to get everything set up to do that. To that end, we have the deliverables that you're going to wind up getting to us at some point to make sure that you have all your resources set up properly. It includes the Management by Systems plan, contact information from you, for you, and for your administration in case we need to connect you with resources. Your implementation plan, which is the information that you choose to how set up your STEM Plus Academy at your school in terms of scheduling, in terms of number of students and student demographic that you're targeting. Getting you set up and getting your teacher set up with the core software training, whether it's SuccessMaker or GradPoint. Getting you set up with leaderboards and making sure you have an incentives budget. Making sure that you're running your core software, your SuccessMaker or your GradPoint, regularly and effectively, and that you get the STEM software and the NEFU software used in your class. And the STEM software can also be STEM games, and Tony will be going over that more later on. In addition to all that information, it just gives a really in-depth overview of the people involved in the Academy, starting with you, the Academy Director. It also includes the administration, the teachers, the students, and the parents and community members. It gives the components in terms of software and the incentives and your stipends that go into setting up the STEM Plus Academy, and also lets you know what we need from you, your reports, and how we're making sure that you're staying on track of making sure that your responsibilities are fulfilled. And the end of the Academy Director Manual is the MBS plan that we talked about. We can go through that, and we can talk about how to fill it out and make sure that your administration knows what's on deck in terms of what they need to provide you to make sure that you're able to do your carry out your responsibilities as AD most effectively. Just checking to see if we have any questions yet. Tony or Steve, anything to add on to that right now?
No, they should all have that right now, right? The AD handbook, they should have access to it. Sent it already.
Yeah. So as you go through that, just let us know if you have any questions in terms of what the content is. And as we go through, we're going to start doing our regular updates, our weekly updates, and I'll be reminding you the components that are expected from you when they're expected. This point between the middle of August, when some schools start, and this first or second week of September, when the rest of the schools start, depending on where you are in the country, until the end of September, we're considering everybody to be in startup mode. So if you're doing Success Maker, your implementation plan, or I'm sorry, your initial placement process, that's going to be going on from whenever you start school through the end of September. And once we hit October, then we're going to really get into the tracking week to week, making sure that everything is going on as we expect it to, and then helping you out if you need it. So let's go on. Good morning, Stacy. Glad you could join us. Just saw that you got on. All right. So the MBS plan, this is a really strong component that Dr. Katan feels very strongly about, and we want to make sure that you have the resource available to you, you understand how it works. If you're looking at the Academy Director Handbook right now, it's the last couple of pages, and then you're going to fill out a different MBS plan based on what software you're using. There's one for Success Maker, there's one for GradPoint, and there's one for the NEFU courses. It's largely the same in terms of making sure that you and your administrators both or all understand what is involved in getting the software up and running and what resources you need in terms of time and authority within the district to make sure that you can carry this all out. Just making sure that we're still going. MBS plan, like I said, ensures accountability for you, your administration, your teachers. The most important thing, again, is if you're on Success Maker, which most of our schools on, it establishes your overall goal for the year. And like Dr. K says, the goal for every school should be 1.0 or greater grade level increase per subject per student group. We'll go over that more as we get into the implementation plan. The MBS plan also makes sure that you have the authority within your district to carry out your responsibilities as Academy Director, and gets the teachers in the district on board as well. So when the directive comes from the administration saying that this is what we're doing for Success Maker or for GradPoint, it's easier for you to make sure that the teachers are carrying this out in the classroom. And finally, the MBS plan also helps get all of the components of Dr. K's PLS and MTT, the Total System Solution, in place, including the personalized learning, learning management, stipends for you, and the incentives for the students, and so on. I'm going to pop over to a couple of questions real quick. I said good morning to Stacy. If you guys are having trouble with sound or video, I'm going to type this in the chat so that you can see it. Then try reloading the page. That should show up. It may or may not for people, but if you're having trouble with sound or video, try reloading the page. This is exciting. A couple of people are having no sound or video. Like I said, we're going to be providing the full recording to everybody via YouTube after the fact. So I'm sorry if you're having technical difficulties right now. Sounds like there's a lot of school firewall issues. So stick with us as best you can. We'll get all the information for you after the last session tomorrow. Going on, the implementation plan. This is going to be one of the first things that you need to get back to us. This is basically saying, what are you going to do with your STEM Academy? If you're using SuccessMaker, you need to have a clear outline of what grades, how many students, and their weekly time usage so that they get to their end goal at the end of the year effectively. So first thing, you have a certain number of licenses allotted to you. I emailed all of you beginning of last month letting you know how many licenses are available. I didn't have any outstanding issues at this point, I think, so just remember as you're scheduling students, don't go over your total number of licenses. If you do need more licenses, let us know. We'll be happy to work something out in terms of getting you more, but please don't overschedule at this time. Your goal is, well, as you schedule, we suggest between 40 and 60 or 100 minutes per year, per week. So if you can do 40 minutes a week per subject, that's great. If you can do 60 to 100, that's ideal. Probably not any more than 100, because at that point you'd be going more than 20 minutes a day, and you can find that students wind up burning out a little bit as they do too much. So just keep that in mind, that you want to try and get enough time for students, but not too much time for students. So the overall goal for Dr. K is to get most of your students 1.0 or greater grade level increase from the end of their IP. So we find that the most effective way to do this is 60 minutes per subject per student per week on average. And we'll go more into ways to get that scheduling set up to be most successful for your students. If you're doing GradPoint, you need to identify how you're going to be using GradPoint, whether it's going to be credit recovery or online only classes or a hybrid implementation. You need to clearly identify your students, what courses you expect them to be using, and what courses per student and courses overall are going to be offered in the school. The first incentive I'm going to talk about is the leaderboards. This helps with student motivation. I'm actually going to turn this over to Steve because he's going to be responsible for getting you guys all the leaderboards that you need this year. So take it away, Steve.
Yep. So I'm Steve. Among other things, I deal with setting up the leaderboards for you guys. So we've used these things since the start, really. So basically, they're posters that help track your students' progress. You can have them in classrooms or as a whole school basis. We have all kinds of media and pictures over on the website there. You'll see the link in that bullet. Academies at cyberlearning.org/leaderboards. I recommend you guys all check that website out anyway. So anyway, we can have students, you can create icons. Basically, each school we work with to customize these leaderboards and make them unique and fun. We've seen great success with them in pretty much all the schools that have used them. You can tie them into your incentives, and it basically provides a nice visual for your students of everything. And so again, over on that website, there's a big button that says, please click here, basically, and to send me a form that will tell me what you want in terms of what style of leaderboard, and where you can send me your logo and stuff like that, or basically we can start communications through that form. And then I'll probably get a hold of you right away in an email, and off we'll go with those.
Great. Thanks, Steve.
Yep.
Thanks, Steve. I'm going to take another second and go through these questions real quick. Joel, it looks like you lost me. I don't know if I'm back for you. I hope that I am. Stacy says she's able to get questions access, and that helps the video and audio go smoothly. So I don't know if you're looking at this on the Google Plus page or on YouTube, but if you're on the Google Plus page and you have the questions viewing, it sounds like that helps the audio video smooth out. If you do get kicked out, scroll to the end or restart to the beginning of the recorded session and you're not live. If that's the case, that's fine. We'll give you the recording at the end. A couple of no sound or videos. Joel, thank you for the recommendation for Join Me. We're not familiar with that, but we'll check it out and we'll see. Going through all these questions. And guys, again, it sounds like there is a lot of this based in firewall settings. It may also be just general connection speed. So I'm sorry if that's the issue, but we'll get you the recording. Bruce had a good question. Bruce is from Martins Ferry, our new school district. He's asking if his start date and all of his dates and times are the same. No, Martins Ferry is starting in November, so their goals and their implementation is going to be modified based on their start date in November instead of August or September. So that's a good question, and we'll work with you to get a personalized date set up. All right, I think those are all the questions for now. Tony, anything on email, or Tony or Steve, anything you guys want to add in right now?
No.
I didn't think I said the leaderboards are free also.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So
So you can get as many as you need. And again, you can visit that website. We'll send you links to all these pages along with the recording of the video. Moving on. So the next item in incentives is the student incentive money. And this is probably one of the most important elements of, this is the most important incentive aspect. This is a budget that you have that is available for you to distribute to students as you see appropriately. The best way we suggest doing that is to solicit ideas from them for the motivational rewards that they would like to have. Once you have those ideas set and an estimate of how much each item costs, create a budget template. Make sure you distinguish between your one-time and your recurring incentives. So, for example, some people do monthly pizza parties, whereas some people will do a one-time field trip at the end of the year. Just make sure that you have your totals that account for all of the different sums and whether they're recurring or not. Before you actually purchase anything, make sure that your budget is approved by Tony, so you avoid the risk of purchasing something that you think is an appropriate incentive, but either Tony or Dr. K, the NEF, don't think it's an appropriate incentive. Just make sure that you get the approval before you buy anything. Hang on to your receipts and then submit them in December and in June. And whether your school purchases it or whether you purchase it, we'll reimburse once in December and once in June. We can't do any third-party incentives or reimbursements, so either you need to purchase it or your school needs to purchase it, and then we'll reimburse you or your school based on the invoice that you fill out. And I'll give you templates for that as we get closer to the appropriate time. If you want more information on incentives or a link to a sample budget template that we've made for you, you can go to academies.cyberlearning.org/incentives or wait for the link in the email. So here are some suggestions for incentives. These are kind of like a best of list that we've compiled from the last couple of years. You can see there's a whole bunch of things ranging from the tiny to the huge, based on what your school and what your students think would be the best motivators for them. We encourage you to try out some small things and some big things. And there's a note at the top there, guaranteed rewards, for example, the weekly pizza parties or the monthly ice cream parties or stickers that everybody gets. Something that is guaranteed for everybody is a very good base motivator. But then raffled rewards are also a great incentive to get students to be more engaged. So question from Joel.
Briefly, Marshall.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, by guaranteed rewards, we don't mean that every student is going to get that reward. That means every student who achieves a target grade level increase will receive the award. So rather than a bunch of students kind of working really hard and then only a few students getting a raffle, which can be sort of discouraging to the people who don't win, at least there are group-based rewards and individual rewards. They may be smaller, but at least there's something to acknowledge their performance. The raffled rewards are definitely a good idea as well. And we find it's the mix of the two that works the best.
Great. Question from Joel, good one. Is there a standard itemized list for budgets, or should we create our own Excel sheet? Totally up to you. There's a sample, there's a template available on the site I just shared with you, and I will link to you. Or you can feel free to use your own. Just make sure that you account for recurring versus one-time, and that you have your overall total and that it is within the budget allotted for you from the NEF? Great question. Okay. Great. I just want to share some pictures that we have from some of the academies who have done some pretty awesome incentives before. So clockwise from top left, actually the top 3 pictures are all from Tri-Valley, Pennsylvania. This is from their end of year STEM Plus Awards Day and Field Days. You can see the giant bounce house and the, I don't even know what those are called, but it looked like a lot of fun, the sort of bumper hula hoop things. On the bottom right, we have a picture from Valco, who did their trip to the Cosmosphere last year, and it sounds like they're doing a lot more in terms of working with the Cosmosphere to do STEM activities throughout the year. So that's really exciting. We'll be sharing their updates as they go on our website and through our social media as we finish getting that set up. And the bottom left is students from Aki Kurosi in Washington going to a Mariners game as their big incentive trip at the end of the year. So all students who achieved the target amount, belly bumpers. Thank you, Stacy. They're belly bumpers. All the students who qualified for these major incentives activities were invited to participate. So these are ideas for big ones. And again, you could do anything from tiny to gigantic, and we encourage you to explore all options. The key to getting the students to where they need to be is to satisfy your weekly goals. And these actually apply directly to you as Academy Director. And it's 2 parts. One part is ensuring that your students find success, and one part is just making sure that you stay engaged as Academy Director. So that breaks down to goal completion and communication. The goal completion, it's based on your yearly goal. So big generalization, if your yearly goal is a 1.0 grade level increase, that breaks down to roughly 0.03 grade level increase per week. And the way we figured that out is there's about 40 weeks of school, and so 1.0 divided by 40 is 0.025, but there are going to be hiccups. There's going to be snow days, there's going to be assemblies, there's going to be field trips, there's going to be kids out sick, there's going to be sports games. So we encourage you to set a schedule that anticipates for these interruptions to make sure that you meet the year-long goal. And the easiest way to do this is just bump up your target a little bit. We found that most schools are easily able to get the 0.03 increase per week by scheduling about an hour on the software per student per subject per week. This is something we can explore further in your implementation plan, but in general, you want to make sure each student in your target group gets an hour of software use per subject. And this has some wiggle room. The time is not the most important part. The steady gain, the steady grade level increase each week is the important part. This year is a little bit different. If you were with us last year, you'll know that we had you calculating your gain on your averages, and it was mathy, but we're doing all this for you this year. We have a system in place. We've been working with a team at the SUNY Potsdam campus to track everything for you. This doesn't mean you don't need to be engaged. It just means you get to do less math. So some people will be very excited about that. And what we'll be doing is once everybody's out of implementation, their initial placement phase, we'll be sending you weekly reports letting you know your average student completion, or your average student gain, your average student time. And if there are any issues, if there's anything that's flagged, like this grade or this school isn't making their weekly goal targets, then we can discuss why. We can figure out solutions as to what we can do to correct for it. The other part of your weekly goal is communication. Every week, just give me a quick phone call. It's going to be about 3 minutes. Anytime after you get your weekly report, once we start doing the weekly reports, we'll just discuss what's going on, and we can switch that to an email after, I think we said 4 weeks of green ratings, and we'll go to the ratings in just a second. But basically, if you're on track, if you're doing everything right, you're meeting your goals regularly, that's great. We don't want to get in your way. We just want to make sure that we touch base every once in a while to keep things on track. So here are the statuses. Basically, every week, based on your gain, your communication, you're going to get a status. So there's the gain status and then the overall status. Green, pretty simple. If you're doing everything right, you're going to get a green. If you meet your target goal and you communicate with me you get a green status. If you miss something, if you miss the goal by enough, or if you don't give me the call or send me the email like you're supposed to, it's a yellow status. It doesn't mean things are bad. It just means we need to make sure that we're keeping track of everything, that we're on task. Maybe there is a snow day, maybe there's early dismissal, that sort of thing. Usually not a big deal. It's just what happened, how are we going to make sure that doesn't happen next time. Usually as soon as it's fixed, it's retroactively turned to a green. So if you're just under your goal for 1 week and you're over your goal for the next week, or your goal for the next week brings your year-to-date average at or beyond where it's supposed to be, you'll be fine. If you call me back and you didn't, or if you didn't call me and you call me back, you'll be fine. The issues come when things kind of stagnate there. If you continually miss your goal, or if you continually fail to communicate, that's an issue, because we want to make sure that you're in contact with us so that we can make sure that you have the resources and that you're meeting your targets, you're helping your students, and everybody's getting what they need to get out of the software and the STEM Plus Academy. If you do wind up doing a red status, we'll discuss it. We'll discuss it with you. We'll discuss it with your supervisor and figure out what's going on and how we can prevent that from happening in the future. So if you have a couple of yellows or one red, we're going to let you or your principal or your superintendent know what's going on, just so that they're aware and they don't get notified that things are bad out of left field. We'll all work together to figure out what's going on, what we can do. Maybe your goal is not realistic. Maybe you don't have the resources in terms of scheduling the time, or you don't have the technology available to you. That's fine. We'll discuss it. We'll figure out what's going on, and we'll come up with a plan to make sure that your school continues to get as many benefits as they can out of the STEM Plus Academy. Usually it's going to be a goal to get you at or above where your original goal was for the year. For example, if we make it to mid-year and you're significantly below your mid-year target, we'll come up with ways to get your school's average at or above that target. Maybe we could do after-school things, maybe we could do before school, or an at-home incentive. There are all sorts of things that we can discuss to get your goal to where it needs to be. The most important thing is for you as the Academy Director to be consistently engaged. Yeah, you get a stipend. For some of you, that may be a great motivator. Ultimately, though, what should be motivating all of us is the benefits for the students. So that's the whole point of this program, is to benefit the students and get them resources they wouldn't normally have. So your engagement is critical for the success of your academy. To that end, the stipend, it is going to be this year correlated to your overall student success, if you're using SuccessMaker, or your general performance, whether or not you're using SuccessMaker. This is kind of exciting. If you're using SuccessMaker, there's a chance for you guys to get more than your stipend. Basically, your stipend is directly proportionate to your actual gain versus your target gain. So if you make it from September to June and your goal was 1.0 grade level increase and you get 1.0 grade level increase, you get 100% of your stipend. If your goal was 1.0 grade level increase and you get 0.7 grade level increase, well, then it results in 70% of your stipend being available. However, if your goal is 1.0 and you get 1.1 or higher, if you get anything above 1.0, you get a bonus. So we'll also increase your stipend to match the success that you help foster with your student engagement as well. There's also an Academy Director performance rubric, really basic, just saying, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? It's really easy to get your full stipend as a result of doing what you're supposed to do. Again, there's an opportunity for a bonus in there. If you go above and beyond, if you're consistently engaged, if you're going out of your way to help us be aware of the things that are going on at your school, and you do a really positive job of getting the system up and running at your school, there'll be proportionate bonus involved in that. On the other hand, if you're missing communication, if you're not being engaged with your academy, that's going to impact your stipend as well. So that's just something to be aware of as we go. We can answer any more questions as we go through the year. Beyond your core software, there's the digital literacy software that we've created, that Steve and I have created, that's available to anybody. We think it's appropriate for middle school and up, including adults, including people who use computers on a regular basis. The goal of the digital literacy course is to make people comfortable using computers well. So if you have anybody who doesn't fit both of those categories, they would benefit from this course. In addition to the digital literacy, we have the Skillsoft or the NEFU courses. This is for high schoolers and older, again, including adults. The main components of this are IT, desktop, and business software. This is including your Academy. It's available at no cost. I've provided instructions on how to set it up. I can give you a refresher on how to get that going. We're actually in the process of rolling over our licenses from the old version to the new version. That's going to take probably a week or so, but it's going to be available very soon. Question from Joel: are we completely done with Java? I'm going to touch on that in just 1 second, Joel. You'll see the answer very soon. Some of the STEM Plus activities. Tony, I'm going to turn this over to you to talk about the STEM activities that we're proposing this year that are available to students.
Okay, so this is kind of a new thing for us. We've partnered with Minecraft EDU. We're working with the code.org materials, although we don't have a formal partnership. PBS Nova Labs has agreed to work with us. Fisher Technic has agreed to work with us. We also are using Connects materials and Lego Robotics materials. And so the idea is that each of these STEM activities is something we'd like to encourage you to use in your schools. What we're sort of soft proposing, and we're not going to dictate exactly how you do this, but what we're proposing is that at 1/3 of a grade level, you start making STEM resources available to students. So when they make in their primary area, their grade level increase of 0.3, not 0.03, but like 0.33, 1/3 of a grade level, which roughly correlates with the bronze level on the bronze, silver, gold leaderboards. At that point, you can make any of these activities available. So at this point, Minecraft EDU is free to you. We'll pay for the licenses for your school. And as far as the other materials go, work with us. The PBS Nova Labs is free. The other materials, code.org is free. Robotics is not free, Connects, and some of the other ones are not free. So if you'd like to use some of your incentive money, we can work with you on that. If you think that you don't have enough incentive money but you'd like to purchase some of these, that's okay too. And for anybody who's regional, we're talking pretty much from Ohio to Pennsylvania, possibly down the East Coast a little bit. I have a collection of these materials that I'd be happy to give to you as a loan for you to use and evaluate. So the idea is these shouldn't be heavy teacher, instructional designed, type controlled situations. These are more sandboxy, let students explore type spaces that we're looking to encourage. So that really is the spirit of STEM. When you really get down to it, it's the idea of playing and exploring with various tools and resources. And so I think that's something that could be really promising this year. For those of you who are interested, feel free to work with me directly, and I'll provide you with the resources that you need. And I will have some instructional materials available, but they're going to be kind of loosely formed by design so that students have maximum freedom when they're interacting with these various resources. So that's it.
Great. Thanks, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you can feel free to ask Tony more about any of those things and get more information there.
And I should say, many of you are already doing this. Before we move on, I forgot to mention, for example, I was visiting Joel in Minersville, and they kind of already do this stuff. I know he does it right in his classroom. So for those of you who are already doing this, I'm not asking you to stop, but certainly we can enhance what you're doing already and provide you with some additional resources. Question from Stacy: are Minecraft licenses individual users or concurrent users? It's funny, it's both. You actually get a concurrent user license. We give you up to 30 so that you can have one computer lab at a time. But at the same time, the software installation that we have allows you to play locally on the local LAN with other people, and it allows you to play individually. So while it's 30 on the server, and you'll have your own server, you can have as many people as you want play locally, either individually or with small groups. So good question. I'll definitely have more to say on that. I'll likely have sort of a smaller webinar for those of you interested in Minecraft where we'll go through that. And if you don't mind, let me just kind of do a quick screen share. So if you want to kind of click over to here, this is what the world looks like. Mush, is everybody seeing this? Oh.
Yep.
Yeah. So the idea is it kind of starts off in the starter world, and it walks you through the very basics, and many of your students will already know the basics. Some of them will have used an Xbox and won't know how to do this. But this is actually part of the digital literacy content, and one of the things that's kind of scary is that there's a whole series of tools out there on the computer that require the use essentially of WASD space and a mouse. So you should be able to kind of move around in a virtual environment, whether that's a 3D modeling environment like CAD or Blender, or whether it's Minecraft. It's the same basic tools. And we're finding many of our students only have essentially joystick ability. They can use the joystick on the Xbox, but they really don't know how to do much more. So this, just by using Minecraft, even if you didn't have any learning goal whatsoever, you're going to be getting a core set of computer skills that will help you well into the future. To me, it's kind of like touch typing. It's one of those things you just need to be able to use the WASD spacebar and mouse. It's kind of a core computer skill. If you don't have it, you're going to be precluded from a whole series of activities in the future. So that just that will give you a leg up. And of course, there's lots more to it than just a WASD spacebar movement. There's actually the building part of it, which is really exciting. So this whole world was created, and we will give each of your students the ability to create in this world once they reach the 1.0 grade level. So lots more to say on Minecraft. We're hoping to make it a banner year with our partnership with Minecraft EDU, and we'll have more to say later in the webinar as well. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So back to you, Marshall.
Great, thanks. All right, I'm going to continue on. All right, so a couple of new things with SuccessMaker and with GradPoint. Joel, here is the answer to your question. We've moved all of our servers into two centralized servers, one for SuccessMaker, one for GradPoint. So for SuccessMaker, you're going to log into nef.smhost.net. There's no Java. It's all HTML5. The only thing you need to do about that is make sure you're using an updated browser. And there's no Flash in the reading anymore. They're working on getting all the math to be Flash-free. The target for that right now is 2016. So everybody should be saying hooray for that. I know I am. GradPoint has also been moved over to nef.gradpoint.com. And like I said, we're moving our NEF courses from our old LMS to the new LMS. They're all going to be available. It's going to be a much better experience. Again, getting rid of all the Java. Java is dying a slow but wonderful death, so we can get everybody using all these courses without having to make sure that their browsers are individually updated. Great.
And as far as Chromebooks go, it will work on Chromebooks if you use the Puffin Academy software.
Yep. iPads too to that end.
Right.
Okay. All right. So this is all of the sort of get you up to speed, remember what it's like to be an Academy director. A couple of things that are specific to this year. We're going to go through these things real quick, and then we'll be happy to take any of your questions. And more questions as we go. So the first thing, we're looking to see what sort of correlation you have between your state test scores from 2013-2014 to 2014-2015, so last year to the year before, and see what we can do to correlate that data to your SuccessMaker or your GradPoint use. So for any school that's returning whose state tests weren't totally messed up, I know one of our schools said that we had a really messed up state test implementation and then just sort of threw out all the results. So I hope that didn't happen to you. But if you do have state test results that are consistent from 13-14 to 14-15, we just basically want to know what percentage of students who were at or above the appropriate math or reading level were successful on their state test. So you can do this by pulling out data from your old reports or pulling out old report data and looking at your student level on the day of the test and at the beginning of the year. So we're just looking for what correlations we can get between their performance in the Success Maker or Grad Point and their performance on the state tests. Tony, you want to speak any more to that?
Yeah, it might seem like a tricky thing to do, but it's really not that complicated. You can just take your Success Maker data, export it into a spreadsheet, sort it, and you should be able to sort, and we can help you with this if you need to, but you basically sort it by grade level, and then just take everybody who is at or above grade level, and then find out what their state test scores were, which you should have access to that data as well. And then you just see how many of them got the equivalent of a 3 if it's a 4-point rubric or whatever is passing through your state. So this is important data. It's important data for you locally. It's important data for us nationally. Pearson says that 90% is what they loosely guarantee. In our experience with the schools that have done this, we haven't found anybody who's been at grade level who's failed their state tests, but I'm sure once we start spreading this out, we'll find 1 or 2 that had a bad day. But in general, that's a pretty powerful message to send, but it's a message we can't send unless we do this correlation. And we are perfectly willing and able to help you with this as we can and as appropriate. We may have to put pseudonyms in for the names of the students if we're to work with the data, but nonetheless, we can help you with that if you need some help.
Great. I'm going to go back for a second. I saw a couple of questions that I didn't get to because I didn't wait long enough. Sorry. First thing, no more need for a specific Success Maker app or permission from Pearson for iPad usage. For reading, that should be the case. For reading, there's no Flash, no Java. We encourage you to try it out. For math and Success Maker, you will still need to use the Puffin Academy app just to compensate for the Flash that's still in there. As I said, over the course of the next year, they're taking that out in math, but right now you still need to use Puffin Academy if you're going to use Success Maker Math on an iPad or on a Chromebook.
That's a good question from Stacy. Is there an SM app for like iPad?
I've always used Puffin Academy, or I've always told people to use Puffin Academy. So if anybody else has any suggestions, we'd be happy to take them and let other people know what they're using.
Okay. I haven't seen the actual app yet, but I think Puffin Academy is the way to go right now.
Okay. All right, Charlie, the new URL should be ready for all the schools. They're migrating teacher and student accounts over. And Tony, perhaps this is a good time to speak on what our status is in terms of Success Maker availability.
Yeah, Stacy had that question. I think that Shanna had that question in Steubenville over email. And basically, they've had some downtime. 2 things have happened, kind of like a perfect storm in some ways. 3 things, actually. One is CenturyLink, which is the data provider for Pearson's software, went down 2 weeks ago. And that's pretty catastrophic. It never happened. They do have backups, and they did recover all the data, but it takes a little bit of time to recover that. So we lost about 3 days 2 weeks ago. On top of that, we are migrating from our old system to our centralized system. So that takes a little bit of time. So once they fix the sort of initial data issues, then they are moving each of our academies' previous year's data to this year's data. So any new academies, you guys are good to go because you didn't have last year's data, but for our old academies, they're still in the process of moving those databases over into your new Success Maker instances, which fall under the nef.smhost.net umbrella. Sherry King is working on that because Matt Robinson, our liaison, this is sort of the third leg of the perfect storm, was moved companies to Houghton Mifflin as of today. So he gave us a call on Friday, and he did absolutely everything he could to hand it over into the right people's hands. And we are assured that they are working on it. We got assurances from the actual teams that are working on it that they are on the case. Add in the fact that we had a Labor Day weekend and nobody worked it on a Monday. And I do understand that some of you may be a little bit frustrated. Nonetheless, as Marshall said, we're not counting anything until October. So any bit of gain that you get between now and October 1st will essentially buffer you and get you ahead of the game as far as we're concerned. Now, you may have your own schedule and rightfully so be concerned with students getting behind, but nonetheless, as far as your red, yellows, and greens go, everybody will be ahead of the game if they get any data in past IEP before October 1st. So is that that's the best I can do without actually getting the Pearson folks right on the line with us, which we did try to do, but they weren't available.
So I know that there are some ADs who have concerns about their administration or about their other teachers not having this software available. If that's the case, please feel free to get us in contact with them. I know Tony or myself or even Dr. K, if it needs to get to that level, would be happy to explain what's going on personally. The other option is we can send an email that you could forward or that we could CC. So again, we're doing what we can to get things up and running as soon as we can. But that's where we stand right now. Later today, we were told that we should get an estimate for our newest timeline. So as soon as we have that information, we will share it with you. But in the meantime, we appreciate your patience, even if it's only because you have to be patient because you have no other option. A couple other comments. Stacy said last year there is a special Success Maker app that they got permission from Pearson to use. It sounds like it was kind of involved. I encourage you to try Puffin Academy and see if that works, and let us know what if you are successful with it. Or if you want to try using the Pearson app again, see if it might be a little bit easier this year. That's up to you. We're happy to work with you. Joel and Stacy, looks like you guys are trying to coordinate a visit. That would be great. Let me know if you need any help getting in contact with each other. You should have both each other's emails from our weekly communications. Otherwise, shoot me a message letting me know that we can get you connected. Also looks like there's some good news. Great, yeah. And at any point, if you'd like to do some more webinar stuff with us in terms of training or STEM incentives or how to do your NEF Academy, let us know. We're happy to schedule something similar to how Pearson has their on-demand webinars. We can always coordinate something. I mean, that's why we're here. We're here to help you guys. So let us know if you'd ever like to schedule something with you and or tech people and or teachers to get things going. So that was a question from Joel. It's great to hear that there's more support at Minersville this year, so looking forward to that. And yeah, one last comment. Joel, you're not the first person to say that Pennsylvania kind of had a shaky year for state tests. That is nothing that's your fault. We're trying to see if we can get correlation, just like state level averages, so we can compare and say, oh, you know, you guys did terribly, but everybody did terribly, and do the math to show it. Yes, mathematically everybody did terribly, but you guys maybe did less terribly. So if you can send us whatever data you have for you guys or for the state as a whole, we'll be sure to take that into account as we go. Thank you guys. All right, we'll keep on zooming along because we're running close to the end. There's a new version of Success Maker, as you know. It's Success Maker 8. I encourage everybody to hop on to mypearsontraining.com, which used to be called My Training Connection. If you don't have an account yet, please create an account with your customer ID. Your customer ID is available to you in your very first welcome email from Pearson saying that your server was set up. There's some really good Success Maker on-demand training. It wouldn't hurt everybody, including seasoned vets of Academy directors, to check it out. Just to refresh yourself, refamiliarize yourself with content, especially the admin panel stuff. Maybe make notes of what content would be good for your teachers to hop on and review, and you could share that with them. If you get into any of the content, you say, well, this is nice, but I'd like to go more in depth, you can set up a personalized webinar for free with Pearson directly to cover any topic of your choice. I'm going to pop on real quick to my Pearson training just to show you what it looks like. Here we are. So this is my Pearson training. Actually, it goes to my training connection. That's okay. You can see that we have your login up here. I actually logged in with the browser, but I remembered my credentials. Hooray. So log in, and you can see all the list of Pearson software down here. Well, this is just way too much. We don't need all of this. You can easily search for your software. For example, I'm just going to search for Success and find their Success Maker. You don't need to search through it every time. If you want, you can just toggle it as a favorite by clicking on the star. And then the next time you log in, click on your favorites, and it'll show right away any of the courseware that you saved. Going into Success Maker, the on-demand training is what I'm referring to in terms of your tutorial videos. Has extra documentation if you want to go into there. It's hugely great resources. I encourage everybody to check it out, like I said. And to schedule an on-demand webinar, it's just the very next tab over. You can find a date and time that works for you and or all of your teachers. Select it and pick a topic, and you'll get connected with a friendly Pearson rep who can take you through all the content that you want. Okay. Your initial placement, again, this is mostly for Success Maker people. You can set students' IP levels before they start doing their assessments. This is great if you already know their level, whether from the end of last year or if they have an IP that can help you determine what level they should be set. The information on how to do that is actually in my Pearson training. It's in the Getting Started video called Managing Users in Groups if you don't remember how to do that. If you put students at the right level, it's going to speed up their initial placement process and it's going to set them up for more success. They'll have less time in the IP and they'll actually get more time doing learning in the software. Again, initial placement, target end date to get everybody out of IP is the end of September. Okay, so as we go through, as we get server set up and we logged in, keep that as your goal. We find that it can take 2, sometimes 3 hours to get through IP. So just be aware of that as you schedule time during the first week. Might not hurt to keep some extra time available at the after school at the end of the month, just for that last, make sure everybody gets on board.
So let me just add in there that to be clear, there are 2 different levels that students are given. One is their grade level, and that affects what Success Maker looks like. It affects what the interface looks like, what tools are available to them. But it doesn't affect the content. And the second level is their placement level, and that's affected by them going through IP. And as you sort of start them on IP, you can set what you feel their level is going in. And this is independent of their grade level. So for a student who's in 5th grade performing at the 3rd grade level, you don't put them in as a 3rd grade student, you put them in as a 5th grade student working at the 3rd grade level. And you can, as Marshall says, you can go to this Getting Started Managing Users and Groups to do that. That significantly reduces the IP time. I think that's this is one of those pro tips that if you're listening to nothing else on this whole webinar, listen to this bit because this should help a tremendous amount in terms of the aggravating IP that many of you have complained to us about after a couple of weeks saying they're still not out of IP. And oftentimes those are the students who are a couple of grade levels below and were set at their normal grade level to start, and the system takes longer to ratchet down to their actual level. So just a little emphasis on that point, Marshall.
Yep, and Stacy also has a great comment that... Oh, great. Okay. 2 comments. Stacy had a comment saying that only do this if you have a significant difference in what the student's actual performing grade level is versus their set grade level. So if you have a 4th grader who's maybe 4th and a half grade, don't feel like you need to set them at 4th and a half grade. The system will pick up on that pretty quickly. This is for significant differences in terms of their their grade that they're in versus their performance grade level. Another comment from Charlie saying that Russ from Pearson said that the new IP in Success Maker 8 should be even faster than the old Success Maker IP, which is great to hear. So might not necessarily be something you need to do. If you still have students that you think it would be beneficial for, consider doing it. But it sounds like it will be less of a critical thing to consider doing this year.
Great.
So that's also great news.
All good news.
Cool. If you have students as you go throughout the year who, for whatever reason, are no longer in the program, whether they move schools or whether they're just not being considered as part of your core target demographic, feel free to remove them from the system. We'll be sending you periodic reports to let you know which students aren't using the software anywhere near as much as other students, and this is either something that you can address with them, or whether it's something that you need to discuss with their teachers, or if it's just a student that can be removed from the system. This just helps that your licenses are being used efficiently.
Well, it's also important for your average GLI.
Right.
Well, so this, if you have students who are pulling everybody down in terms of your overall average, that'll affect your weekly reporting, and it'll also affect your end-of-year levels. So it kind of is important on a number of levels.
It is just after 10. If anybody needs to duck away, thank you for joining us. And like I said, we'll send you links to all the things we covered today after our last session. The last thing that we're going to cover are our new STEM Plus Academy contest. I'm going to turn this over to Tony because this is the result of his I don't want to say scheming, but this is really exciting.
So 2 things that are new this year. 1 is the STEM resources, and 2 are the Academy contests. And essentially, we're going to treat this much like, and I have a role as NCAA faculty athletic rep on campus, and I work with the NCAA, and they do a very nice job in most conferences at the high school level and the college level of acknowledging students of the week. They call them athletes of the week. We're not going to use some funky term like mathlete or anything like that, but we're just going to call them students of the week. So the top performer in each school, each week in each area, will receive an award as a student of the week at your academy, and we'll also acknowledge the top performer of the month at your local academy and the top performer of the month across all academies. So to be eligible, you just have to be a Success Maker student in the program, and you must be willing to submit a tweetable 140 characters or less message that inspires other academy students that we will use in our social media. And if we can use a picture, we have permission from the parents to do that, we'd be happy to do that as well. So we encourage you to get permission kind of ahead of time to use some of their pictures and quotes in our social media to promote this to some other schools who might be interested in these programs. So this is, can you move on to the next slide, Marshall? I think we have more to say about it on the next slide as well. So the students of the week, top performing GLI, it's pretty straightforward. Student of the month, top performing GLI, 1 math, 1 reading, top GLI as a student of the month as well. So I just went over that, and then there's one more slide. And pop that up. We also have a student of the year as measured by GLI. We're looking for sponsorship from Tech Systems, and whether or not we get that, we still will be awarding the student a fantastic plaque, which is great. And we're looking for the top performers in all academies to be our National Scholars of the Year. And those 2 students will receive a college scholarship, and I'm working with Dr. Tan to determine the amount of that scholarship. So that's all exciting stuff. Finally, we have our STEM journey stories. And essentially, what I'd like to do is make each of those STEM activities an open-ended, free, sandbox, exploratory space. But the catch is they have to document their story. So we're going to take essay submissions, either via written essay or video presentation describing their journey through this exploratory space, and we will have awards and plaques for our top 5 essays or videos. So this is kind of a way to encourage that add-on piece, the STEM activities. And we'd love to hear your stories, and I'm sure the students would be more than willing to share their stories. My daughters, for example, are using Minecraft, and they're always willing and able to tell me the story of what they're doing inside of the Minecraft world. So I'm sure your students will feel the same way. So those are the contests. If you have any questions.
Real quick question about the tweet. Stacy asked if they need to submit their tweet before being named, and do we pick them? No. So we'll let you know, again, once we're up and running. We'll send you information on this is the student in your school with the most grade level increase. and then you work with the student to get the tweet ready, and at that point you can secure permission to use their photo or not, but then send it to us once they're identified by us.
Yeah. I mean, nothing is absolutely mandatory, but the idea is that we're hoping to use them in the same way that athletics do, which is to promote it through our website and through our social media. And what better way to tell the story of what we do in our academies than from these top students, as far as I'm concerned.
All right, last couple of things. Take this information down. If you don't have it already, feel free to get a hold of us at any time. We're happy to answer any questions you have about anything. Some things we'll be able to answer more than others. For example, if you have a question on your Pearson technical support, there's direct information for how to contact Pearson directly. So if you have a question about why SuccessMaker isn't working, why GradPoint isn't working, you can let us know. More often than not, our answer will be, we're not sure, let's contact Pearson. So if you want to skip us as a middleman, please feel free to contact Pearson for any SuccessMaker or GradPoint questions directly. Just keep us in the loop. If you have a phone call with them, let us know the summary of your conversation, or if you email them, CC us so that we can see what's going on. Occasionally, the problems that affect you will affect other schools as well, so we'd like to share that information with other schools as soon as possible. But if you have any questions about anything in general, contact us. Our phone number is right there.
Take a look. See that? That is the SuccessMaker app on my iPad.
There it is.
So you just have to have your group number. You may have to contact a person about that to make sure you got all the right credentials, but they do have an app.
Great. So that's good. Our phone number is right there, 315-665-1633, or as you know, our email is nefcyberlearning@gmail.com. If you have questions on the NEFU course support, that's the only one that you can contact me directly. I mean, you can contact me about anything. That's the one where it'd be most beneficial for you to contact me directly. Shoot me an email or give me a call, and I'm happy to help out. And that about does it, folks. We're really excited for this year. We have a lot of resources and tools in our possession that we haven't had in years past that it's going to make it a lot easier for us to make it easy for you. So we're excited to share those resources with you. And again, the whole point of this is to give a great experience to the students at your school. So as you go through, keep that in mind. And good luck to anybody who wants to be the 15-16 Academy of the Year. I've had a couple of rumblings about it already from different schools who say that they're vying for that top spot. So I'm going to hang out for probably another minute or 90 seconds or so for you guys to pop any other questions that you have in here. Otherwise, thank you so much for taking the time to join us this morning. I appreciate you being patient with our technical hiccups. And that's been, I'm excited for a great year. Basically, that's it.
Yeah, and I will say this, as far as visiting schools go, I've extended my budget this year, so I am willing and able and very much happy to visit your school to kind of kick off some of your incentive pieces, if you have sort of a mid-year incentive or end-of-year incentive, or if you want somebody to come in and do some professional development on how to use the STEM resources, or in general just facilitate with your administration on getting the academies up and going. So as needed, as you feel it would be appropriate, get a hold of me, and I'd love to visit your school at least once this year.
Right. And Joel, regarding your question on your incentives budget, I have that. I think I sent it to you over the summer, but I can resend it to you and let you know what your budget is. That's the exact sort of question that you should be contacting us, so I'm happy to share that with you. Steve, any parting thoughts?
I think I'm good. I think we're good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. It was great getting to interact with you, and we'll share this webinar with you after our session on Wednesday. So I'm going to hang out for a couple of minutes and just catch any stragglers of questions. Otherwise, feel free to disconnect, and have a great day. Thanks, guys.
All right. I'm disconnecting, guys. I will see you guys at 3:30.
3:30.
Okay.
Yeah, Tony. Thanks. All right, folks, I'm signing off. Thanks again. If you have any questions, please feel free to email or call us. And we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.